Welcome back to Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and the lying corporate media. I'm Jake Duesenberg, your host, broadcasting live from Roseville, Minnesota, in the belly of the beast, the liberal zombie apocalypse of Minneapolis and St. Paul. We're going to get into our predictions for this coming election. Joining me, as always, MAGA Jesse. How you doing there, buddy?
Doing good, yeah. We will be discussing our predictions on the 2024 presidential election coming up here. We'll be talking about Trump at Madison Square Garden and the different jokes that were told there. Lots of people offended by that. We'll be talking about some election fraud that's going on around the country. Then we'll be bringing it back home to Minnesota politics here.
All right. Reading your comments at home. Let us know where you're commenting from is the lovely Bridget. How you doing, Bridget?
I am great. And we have Tucker here. Says, good afternoon, everyone. Laser Jim from Gaylord. Napkin 8 says, hello, T-minus 7 days and counting. T equals Trump. And T-Wall for life. Good afternoon.
All right, and running the dials, as always, Mr. Deep State himself, given to us by the CIA, Mr. Dawson. How you doing, Dawson?
I'm doing good. My whole body is sore because I changed gyms yesterday, and I couldn't be happier.
Okay.
Oh, we got a Rumble rant. Failed
there we go.
$5.
Starting off big here.
Final prediction, Trump becomes the 47th president, and the Bears will not make the playoffs.
I really don't like this failed candidate guy.
Yeah, well,
You know, the
Rumble
Bears
ranted.
pretty... Ugh, that's a tough loss.
Yeah, it's not happening.
It was a really tough loss. I'm sorry. I don't even want to get into it. It's still sore. Though the Bears are looking pretty good for a rookie quarterback. Okay, I'll just put it that way. If you want to interrupt us anytime, hit that Rumble rant. We will read your comment live on air. If you're watching after the fact, join us on Locals. Be a subscriber. You can go to Locals and click on join. Rumble and click on join. Otherwise, you can just go to truthhurtsnews.com. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors, Warren Wessel of Keller Williams Realty. If you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, give a guy that I trust with my own real estate needs, Warren Wessel, a call 612-419-7453. Not only is he a great realtor, but he thinks like you and me. And thinking like us, give the good guys at John Galt Mortgage Company a chance at financing that new home you're buying. You can go to johngaltmortgage.com. These guys are great. Go check out their social media. They really believe in the cause of liberty. They put it out there. It's almost like, are they even running a company? It's just a political page, right? johngaltmortgage.com, and also brought to you by Alpine Cabinetry in St. Cloud, Minnesota, for all your cabinetry needs. Oh, we got a big, lively comment section. So, yeah, I love to see that because I want to hear what you guys think on this subject today. We're going to go out on a limb and make a prediction. Now, let me just give you a little background on this. I didn't even share this with you guys. I've actually been podcasting for a very long time. So I founded Action for Liberty with another gentleman. His name was Jack Rogers. And I remember it must have been 2012, 2013, I stumbled upon this hunting TV show producer named Steven Ranella. He's got a show now called The Meat Eater. Back then it was The Wild with him. And he says he's going on the Joe Rogan podcast. I was like, what? I know I've heard the term podcast. I don't even know what the hell a podcast is. So, but I like Steven Ranella, and I knew who Joe Rogan was because, Fear Factor, and I was a big UFC fan. But I don't know what the podcast is. So I stumble upon this thing, and I love it. I fall in love with podcasting to the point where we create our own podcast. It was called the Living Free Podcast. Did you know this?
I think I did. You told me a long time ago, I'm pretty sure.
Did I? Okay, yeah. So neither one of you guys were with our group back then because we stopped just before the pandemic started. Jack was older. No one was going to work, and then Jack had personal needs, and the show pretty much ended. But it's called the Living Free Podcast. We had a lot of fun. We started out just audio. Then it was, the Mevo thing that I had. You hate that camera thing, but that's what we used. We would actually go on air, and I had to do all the work. I hated it, but it was fun. And we had some really interesting interviews with the Living Free Podcast. But we started it in like 2013, which, seems like we're the OGs of this game because that's a long time ago in the world of podcasting. Now, so many people have podcasts. So in 2016, we made a prediction. Okay, we made a prediction that Donald Trump was going to win. Now, that was a bold prediction, okay? Now, Jack was much more of a Trump guy than I was, okay? I've never really been a Trump guy, so to speak. I see the benefits of Trump. I also look at some of the issues, as, coming from a guy that's, fiscal conservative, libertarian-minded individual. Obviously, I would have liked Trump to win. I really couldn't stand Hillary Clinton. But I was just calling balls and strikes, and what I saw was a Trump victory. And the reasons for that were literally so eloquently put by none other than Michael Moore. He literally made the arguments. And today I'm going to take another left-winger and make the same arguments on why I think Donald Trump is going to be the victor come next Tuesday. And
Cenk Uygur?
Cenk Uygur, you got it, yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, of course.
No, I've seen what he's been saying too. I mean, there's, at least there's a couple of people on the left that are admitting what's going on, that they can see that the energy of Trump is undeniable. Trump is at his most popular ever, which, if you would have said that years ago, people would have said, how is that possible? But he's at his most popular ever. He's got, it's probably the most socially acceptable now than ever, any time previously to support Donald Trump. That's why there's more celebrities coming out. That's why his Latino numbers, his black numbers, all of them are increasing. It's because it's the most socially acceptable than it's ever been, because Kamala Harris is that awful of a candidate.
I can't even, in our show prep, and Jesse and I put a lot of effort into show prep. You wouldn't know anything about that, Bridget.
No.
She just shows up.
I'll take it.
Just shows up. No, it's all right. It's better than Tushy. He shows up late. No, no, we love Tushy. Sorry, Tushy. That was uncalled for. I'm sorry, Paul. But anyhow, Jesse puts a lot of effort into this, and this is just the nerd that he is, and we love it. I love this about Jesse, and I'm not under any mistake on who the real talent is around here. I mean, come on, let's just be honest. He has totally won over the 50 to 70-year-old women demographic. They love MAGA Jesse. I'm telling you. They all want to marry him off to their daughters or granddaughters, and Jesse's just focused on politics, which is why he's such a hard one to get. But now, why was what the hell was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So we had a lot of show prep. I don't even know if I brought this into my show here. Mm-hmm. To make the argument Trump is going to lose the election, and yet he's winning over black and Hispanic votes at a level not before seen in modern political history by a Republican is insanity. Right. I mean, you literally have to win so many more white women to even negate that big thing. There's always been a thing in politics where if you lose a substantial portion of the black and Latino vote, the Democrats are cooked. And somehow we're not talking about that these days.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, I know. It shows that, this election is basically black men versus white women, because these white women are the ones who are, making it even somewhat close for Kamala. It's, they're focusing on abortion, which, is ridiculous, especially in states like Pennsylvania and these other liberal states where it's like, you guys already got the law that you guys want. The Democrats already have the abortion laws they want, but they continue to make it an issue. They want to scare people, and the Democrats are never going to do anything on the issue either. Federally, they want it to be a forever issue. So it's all just a scam, and I think that more people have woken up to it than ever, because like we're saying, black numbers are up, Hispanic numbers are up, yet they call us Nazis. It doesn't make any sense. Really, think about it. Did the Nazis start to gain power because they got the blacks and Hispanics to join on board with them? No, of course not. This is America first. That's the opposite of the National Socialist movement that was proposed by Adolf Hitler.
Oh, I saw a meme this morning, and it's that famous image of Bill and Hillary at Trump's wedding with Melania. Mm-hmm. And it says, footage reveals Bill and Hillary Clinton attended Adolf Hitler's wedding.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin and Casey in Doug Casey, I can't think of Casey's first name, in Pennsylvania, they're, why are we forgetting his name?
Yeah,
Casey in Pennsylvania. They're literally running, on touting their bipartisan working with Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. So, they're basically saying they're working with Hitler, right?
Right. Well, it's 4 different races where they're putting out these ads. Exactly. They say he's Hitler, but also I can work with Donald Trump and we can we can pass this bill and this bill. But I thought that he was Hitler. So
Bob Casey, by the way, Bob Casey.
Bob Casey, yes. Because it's no, it shows these Democrats are desperate in these swing races too, because it's the same thing in Ohio, I think, as well. Sherrod Brown is pretending like he was Trump's best friend. Trump just put out, he was saying in a speech, he said, Sherrod Brown says he's my best friend. I can't stand the guy. And, he's voted for Biden and Harris on every single policy. But now he wants to pretend to be a moderate as soon as it comes to be election time. I'm sure the same thing is true of Montana, John Tester, because he's in a desperate race where, there's no chance that he wins. I can guarantee.
And he's touting the same thing, that working with Trump, right? But Montana's not as surprising as Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Right. Wisconsin in particular, and I'm going to get why.
Right, exactly.
Wisconsin's going Trump, which is going to be the huge. See, Trump has to break the blue wall. Let's get into the numbers here, first of all. Current polling as it stands today, so it's October 29th, Tuesday, October 29th. This is 1 week out from election. This tells everything. So you could see before Biden dropped out, patriotically, of course, not a coup, but it patriotically dropped out, Trump had pretty much had a large margin, okay? Everyone understands this. Biden suppressed his own side's vote. No one was interested in Biden. Kamala gets in, and there's a surge. And that makes all the sense in the world. We talked about this. You can live our life with us by going back on our Rumble or our YouTube channel, our growing YouTube channel, by the way. You can live it with us. We saw we understood why. I mean, they went from a vegetable to a candidate that can put together a couple words in a sentence, right? So they had some energy, and that energy still exists in terms of fundraising. I think it's like a 3-1 advantage over Trump in the last month in fundraising. So there's energy. And by the way, I see online like Democrats attacking Trump. Oh, he's not filling the seats, and Republicans going after Kamala. She's not filling. It's like, listen, there's energy on both sides. Let's be honest. It's undeniable. Trump just filled up Madison Square Garden.
On the Democrat side, I mean, they have to bring Lizzo there, and then she tells everybody that Kamala's going to make the rest of the country like Detroit. That's just what we need. We all want to be a ghetto.
But there's energy. You see the energy. You can see it driving around.
Well,
you can
at
see
the Beyonce
support.
rally, they say it's a concert. Everybody's coming for a concert to listen to Beyonce. And then Beyonce goes on stage. She talks for about 4 minutes and then gets off stage and leaves. And then all of a sudden, everybody gets up and leaves because they said, I thought this was a concert. That's the whole reason I'm here. The whole crowd starts booing Kamala. It's obvious that these people are not there for Kamala. These people are there for they're there for the performance. They're there for the concert.
What were you going to say, Bridget?
I didn't realize, was this recently that they were booing Kamala?
Yeah.
It was last week.
Yep. Oh, wow.
Houston.
Dang.
But I think you're just going a little too far in that one, to be honest with you. I think you're going right into the...
There's some, of
there's
course,
definitely
there's some that are there, to listen to Kamala speak for whatever reason. But
there's
there
energy.
were a bunch of people that left,
I know, but you couldn't deny that there's energy on the left, right? It does exist.
Only when they're getting fooled into showing up to a fake concert.
That's the only reason?
They were told
Come on.
They were told it was a concert. It wasn't a concert. They wouldn't have been there otherwise.
Well, with that being said, it is interesting. It's not just the celebrities. It's Barack Obama, Michelle Obama. You have to understand that it was traditional. Let's go to that Rumble right here.
Did anyone see Jon Stewart's take on the Puerto Rico joke? Says
Yes,
Tucker.
we are going to play that today. Yes, great point. I can't wait. That's our second segment, is the Tony Hinchcliffe joke. As a big fan of Tony Hinchcliffe and Kill Tony. So can I just hold off on that one, Tucker? Let me get through this segment here, because this is our prediction. I thought Tucker, of all people, would not want to interrupt this segment because he's dying. Well, he's probably like, well, you already made the prediction. Let's go on. So, where's I going on that one? See? Tucker.
Something about energy for
Kamala. I was saying.
Oh, yes, there was a standing thing where just former presidents don't campaign. George W. Bush doesn't do it, right? Mm-hmm. I guess Clinton kind of broke that barrier because his wife was running. So
and
I guess
George
that makes
did a little bit for Jeb. He didn't go full out. The whole family kind of gave like a half-ditched effort to Jeb. Even his own family didn't want him in there.
So Barack Obama is literally campaigning hard right now because they want to still have that influence. So anyhow, they're bringing out the big guns and obviously the celebrities. Let's go to the polling. This is Real Clear Politics again. If you go back to and scroll up outside this graph here. Now, the last time we reported all the states red. These are all in the margin of error, so take it for what it's worth. However, it seems like there's some bit of like polling correction in Michigan. As it stands right now, boy, Michigan, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to say Michigan's going to be won by Trump, okay?
Yeah, and it's crazy. I think Michigan is more likely to go for Trump than Wisconsin.
I don't agree with that at all.
Because I'll tell you what, these Muslims, it's all word of mouth. That's how they get across the message to each other, because some of them don't even speak English. They go to church. That's how they tell people who to vote for. The fact that there's Muslims now coming out in Michigan for Trump, a lot of them are saying abandon Harris. A lot of them are, going to vote for Jill Stein. But for the ones that are now realizing that it's okay to vote for Trump, there's a lot of them that are coming. And it's not. And once one comes, they all just start coming out. So this LGBTQ agenda stuff and a whole bunch of other things have pushed these Muslims to their breaking point. And a lot of them are going to vote for Trump. And I think Michigan is 100% going to flip.
Well, that's interesting. So let me just throw out this map here. This is how it works, okay? In case you guys don't know the Electoral College map, Trump, so Kamala Harris's real path to the White House is keeping the blue wall, okay? The blue wall of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. We've said it many times on the show, we're not saying something most people don't know. Pennsylvania is key to the White House. But Trump has a lot of paths outside of Pennsylvania. Kamala really doesn't. Like, she's pretty much got to win Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania might very well go Kamala Harris, okay? But I'll put it this way. Trump can lose Pennsylvania as long as he still picks up Wisconsin or Michigan, right? He still has a path because he could pick up North Carolina, which he most likely is going to pick up. Arizona seems to be really going his direction. And Georgia seems to go his
the
direction.
Democrats gave up on Georgia. It's unbelievable. You'd think that would be the one that they focus on the most. You know, you'd figure they'd go there January 6th nonstop and a stolen election nonstop. But, you know, the people of Georgia just aren't falling for it. So
they did do a rally there last week. I think it was last week.
Kamala?
Yeah, it's hard to say they've given up on it. Yeah, they did a big
Okay,
Atlanta
I
rally.
missed that. I'm wondering who they even had then. You know, I guess probably Warnock and some of the other senators
Yeah,
and
I wanna
whatnot.
say they did some
Stacey
of the
Abrams,
celebrity.
the election denier.
Yeah.
Stacey Abrams.
I can look it up quick.
Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they're all in on Pennsylvania. They're really working on Michigan. Okay,
Yeah.
It seems to me that Wisconsin is going in the direction of Trump, and we'll get into it later in the segment of the show. But Minnesota is razor thin, and those two states, Wisconsin and Minnesota, are so close demographically. Okay, and so if Minnesota is trending Trump, Wisconsin's to the right of, not just on a map, but to the right of Minnesota. And so it seems to me that that's a good pickup for Donald Trump. Remind me again, is Jill Stein on Wisconsin's ballot? I can't remember
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
Okay, so that's pretty key then. Okay, so
and Michigan.
and Michigan. Yeah, of course they were trying to get her off in Michigan.
Yeah, and I
They're
think,
running
I
those
think
ads
in
in
Michigan
Michigan.
they were successful in getting Cornel West off and
Right.
maybe another person. So they definitely were playing games there.
Right. Okay, so then let's look at the New York Times Siena poll, and this is a very credible poll to most people. This is a national poll. If the overall waters rise, you would imagine those then translate to results in the state. And what it shows is a dead heat tie. 48-48 between Trump and Kamala. Now, you know, this is the ultra-conservative right-wing paper, the New York Times, right? They've been showing this for a while. Trump keeps picking up on the national poll, and to the point where their last poll before election shows a 50-50 tie, where I guess 48-48 tie.
Yeah, even CNN is out there saying that Trump might win the popular
Right.
vote. And, that might get the left to finally learn, the Electoral College is pretty important. The Electoral College has a use. The Electoral College forces candidates to go all around the country and listen to state interests and understand where people are coming from in their communities. Unlike a national, situation where if it's just the popular vote, then all they do is go to the cities and they leave all the towns and rural communities out to dry. So hopefully, I'd love to see Trump win the popular vote and then teach these Democrats the importance and use of the Electoral College.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I think the summary when it comes down to it is this is going to be what your instincts are, okay? I'm showing you the data. It is what it is. Can't prove Trump's going to win, even if the data is suggestive one way or the other, which the only really suggestive data here is the trend is going more Trump, but it's still within the margin of error. It's got to go by instinct. I mean, people are psychoanalyzing the early voting data, too, which you could make arguments on both sides. Really, the Republicans don't have to win early voting. They just have to take away the massive advantage the Democrats have had, and they've seemed to be doing that in a lot of these states. And there's areas where Democrats are really excited about their early returns. But, I mean, honest to God, it really just comes down to instincts at this point. There's no other way to put it. And here are what my instincts say, okay? So there's a bunch. First of all, and I've said this for many months now, for whatever reason, when Donald Trump is on a ballot, there's an undersampling his support. And I think I've got it honed in on why that is, okay? And, sometimes you got to look at your opponent to understand why, or look at their opponent's moves to understand that maybe you're onto something. And we came across an ad today that kind of suggests that we are onto something. But when you look at some of the crosstabs in these polls, overwhelmingly, every single poll, it keeps coming back to the economy and immigration or the border, right? And Trump is positioned as the victor on those issues. So in this election, are you telling me that the person that is better on the two most important issues to the American people is going to lose the election? Especially when it's kind of like the anti-incumbent sentiment. Like Kamala's strategy is to distance herself from Biden to a degree, right? So she's kind of the incumbent. And that's really what Trump is trying to do, is to make her into the incumbent. It's all of a sudden it's all of a sudden the Biden-Kamala administration. They never said that before she got into the race. It was just the Biden administration. Now it's the Biden-Kamala administration. So obviously they're positioning themselves so she's the incumbent because incumbency is not advantageous here. And so why, like I always make this argument, if the economy's good, it's not the top issue in politics. So it's the top issue in politics for a good reason, because they done screwed up on that. And immigration is a issue because it is really messed up. And they keep saying Trump is the guy that's better on those issues. Okay. Now let's dig down to
that
it.
And low propensity voters, and the fact that these Democrats, their way of trying to win votes is by trying to shame people, by trying to demean people and put them in a box and try to say, if you vote for Trump, you hate women. It's that's what Michelle Obama's closing argument basically is you have to vote for your wives and mothers and daughters and whatnot. It's like, yeah, I'll do that for Trump. So
yeah, and when the campaign's not disciplined like that, that's what they do. Like they try to like guilt black men, right, into voting that way. She just did Shannon Sharp's podcast.
Yeah,
like they're trying to guilt black men for not, for the votes that they're going to make. But when they're disciplined, they do a last pivot to the economy and talking about how Trump is just going to give billionaire friends tax cuts. Probably a decent ad that's running in Pennsylvania right now.
Well, and that's the thing. You look at Joe Rogan, Trump, he goes on, it's the biggest episode ever. Kamala goes on Shannon Sharp. Cat Williams is always going to blow her out of the water.
Well, that was a great episode.
So it's one of those things that they say she's popular. Who's watching that? I tried to watch part of it, and I was like, this is boring. It's just the same Kamala interview as any other interview because she's just giving the same exact answers.
What was that show we were talking about?
Shannon Sharp.
You're telling me you couldn't sit through a Shannon Sharp episode with Kamala Harris?
I'm saying I didn't.
I don't know. It just might not be. Is that one geared towards women? Is that like a?
No, that'd be definitely going for the male vote.
Yeah.
Who is Shannon Sharp? I've never.
He was he's a Hall of Fame tight end.
Yeah.
He used to play for the Broncos.
Oh, it's a dude?
And the Ravens.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, he's a really jacked, huge dude.
Yeah, and
he's
his
like
name
a
is
legitimate
Shannon.
one of the best tight ends ever play the game.
Yeah, but his name is Shannon.
Yeah.
We have some
You should
comments
say that to
here
his
from-
face.
Yeah.
I'd love to. Good.
Younger brother of Sterling Sharp was a great receiver, but ended his career early. Good.
Scuba McSalty says, no way in hell does Kamala truly have that much support. It's 100% propped up by MSM and retards that fall for the propaganda. Hillary22 says, if you believe it's 50-50, then you will believe it when they say Kamala won. And I feel like that's a good point. Terry Time says, Electoral College, 75% on its way out because of the national popular vote. Thank you, Emmer.
Exactly.
And then Tucker says, Trump usually outperforms his polls, so if it's tied, he's actually ahead.
So Jake, I've heard you say that one before. That's based off of the two elections, right? Is that enough to call it like a pattern, or is that just like happenstance at that point?
Which one are you talking about?
The
I think Tucker's comment.
Yeah, the Trump has performed better than polls are showing consistently.
Oh.
Trump himself said that on Rogan, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
like, is 2 times enough?
no, it's not enough, but that's all you can go on, right? Okay, so let's get into that. Let me explain, because once again, you have to look at the polls. There's the betting markets, and the left is saying, oh, someone's like throwing off the betting markets, but Polymarket has like big money on Trump. Well, how I was explaining to someone yesterday, Jeff Bezos got big money on Trump because he stopped an endorsement from the Washington Post editorial board. So that seems, it's like, oh, someone's just throwing all this money for Trump to skew the betting markets. It's like, yeah, well, Jeff Bezos literally showing that he's wanting to do that, right? And literally, Elon Musk is doing it with a lot of money, like betting big on Trump. So,
But also, I mean, should newspapers be making endorsements
No,
anyways?
no, of course not, but they
yeah,
do it
exactly.
anyhow,
Newspapers
right?
are supposed to be news. They're supposed to be telling you factual information. They're not, they're supposed to be telling you about the candidates, not who to vote for. So I kind of, and also I think Bezos, it's not like he's doing this on some principled stand. He's doing it because he wants to cover his butt.
Yeah.
That's
He
my
wants
point,
to
is
try
he's
to be able
covering
to
his
work
butt.
with Trump. But I'm hoping Trump sees through this. It's
No, but that's
also, I think he's
still the
hedging-
point, is he's
and
covering his
also,
butt because
he's
he thinks-
realizing Kamala is going to lose. You don't
That's
want
why-
to.
yeah, that's what I'm
Don't go
saying.
down on a sinking ship. Is probably what his mind is.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Okay. All right. So, why would the polls be off? Okay. This is just so obvious to me. Okay. I sometimes think that the political experts, maybe this is one thing we could do for this show that the others can't. They're just going to want to analyze data and all this kind of stuff. And I watch it. Okay. And we bring you some of that information here. But sometimes you just got to get down to earth and just read the damn culture. Okay. And I think Cenk is kind of reading the culture, and I think Fetterman is reading the culture when he says that you can't deny Trump support. And certainly Michael Moore was definitely reading the culture in 2016 when he called it. And that's why we predicted Trump would win in 2016, because we're reading the culture. Here's the culture right now.
Nate Silver, he also said it too.
His gut,
one of the
Nate
top
Silver's
pollsters
gut
in
right
the
now.
entire country. He said his gut says Trump is going to win.
He's not a pollster, he's a modeler, right?
Sure.
So what you have to look at is there is a stigma for women. Oh, we got a woman on set, so Bridget, you correct me if I'm wrong here. And you fit this demographic, other than you're a little young for it, because I would put this demographic at maybe 35 to 55-year-old women, so probably the big voting block of women with families, okay, in the suburban, okay? And obviously I live this, I see this in the Minnesota suburbs, but you could take those suburbs all across the country, and there is a stigma to supporting Donald Trump. You'll find a lot of women at NASCAR that will openly talk about supporting Donald Trump, okay? That's fine. But there's a stigma when you're going to grab, coffee with friends in Edina. You're not going to talk about your support for Trump. But when you talk to pollsters, you're telling them that the economy and the border are really important issues to you. And so that's the miss on the polls. I think this was the miss. I actually falsely believe that Trump won the white woman vote in 2016. It was initially reported that way. He didn't technically win it, but he was like 48% or something like that. It was much higher than the polling was showing. And he wasn't supposed to win it. There was a white woman who was his opponent. Hillary Clinton was supposed to carry women to a large degree, and it turns out there was this quiet voice, and the demographic I'm talking about is a massive voting block. And there's a stigma for them to publicly talk about voting for Trump. And trust me, I know these women, okay? I'm telling you, I know this exists. Bridget, you back me up here. You're
No, I
probably friends with
believe
these
it.
women, right?
Yeah, I believe it. I can think of people.
You can think it. Yeah,
A lot of
exactly. You
people.
can think of people, right?
Yeah.
We come on. You can think of people at home. They do not want to say, there's T-Wall, the lovely T-Wall for life. Very true. Hard to find conservative women in Minnesota, but they exist.
But, yeah, I think
they
do
exist.
exist more than people think.
And by the way, it doesn't have to be conservative women. It's just women who go, my God, the economy was a lot better under Donald Trump. The border wasn't so bad under Donald Trump. I kind of think Trump's the better option. And by the way, I'm just going to get real with you for a second. There's a lot of bitchy vibes that come from Kamala Harris. It's not just because a woman's on the ballot that a bunch of women would be like, yeah, I'm going to vote for her. Yeah. Women actually like a strong man in charge. Mm-hmm. That is actually something they want. Now, does Donald Trump is a strong man, but he also has kind of that goofiness to him too. So he loses some women on that one, right? No doubt about it. But he's a strong man, and he's strong on the border, and he's strong on the economy. And so
he got shot.
He got shot, and he couldn't handle it better.
Right. Exactly. If that doesn't prove toughness, then what does?
Right. So Kamala Harris, in my opinion, is going to underperform in this category. And this is where the big miss on the polls are. And I think there's other demographics that they'll miss on. But this is probably the most substantial amount that they're going to do. And we'll probably find out if I'm right on exit polling next week. But this is going to be the miss. And it doesn't take much from the miss on this, where all of a sudden all the battleground states go Trump's way. Okay? Now, don't just take my word for it. Let's pull up this ad. I saw this by a new group that's actually based out of Minnesota. This is the A4, Dawson. Watch this ad I can't remember the name of the group, but let's go ahead and watch this ad. This is just a crazy bad ad in many regards, but the fact that they're running this ad is a tell to me. Go ahead.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose, you can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walls. Vote Common Good is responsible for the contents of this ad.
Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Think about that ad. Don't listen to your husband. You're like, lie to your husband. That's the ad. Lie to your husband. Let's see. Who's the demographic there? It's that demographic I just talked about. The 35 to 55-year-old woman who's probably a suburban woman. They're going for that demographic, and they're basically saying, yeah, tell your husband one thing, but vote the other way. You know, women unite, right? Like, It's all about women here. And it's like, no, I think that woman, I mean, in this case,
And I was thinking, like, they could totally make a conservative version of this ad as well, where it's, all these liberal friends, like, you can't vote for Trump. Trump's a fascist. Trump's going to do this and that. And then a girl goes, yeah. And then she goes to vote, fills in that Trump bubble anyway. So
Right.
It's one of those things that, like, they're trying to pose a hypothetical. They're trying to create a scenario. But it really, the message boils down to what you said. Lie to your husband. Tell your husband you're going to vote for Trump, and then vote for Kamala. I mean, what kind of message is that? Can she not be honest with her husband? Well, why does she? Why is the message not divorce from your husband if you can't be honest with him? Instead, it's stay in that relationship and just lie to him and vote for Kamala. I'm sure that's going to work out great for the country.
Yeah, and honestly, it's just beyond that. It's like you're targeting that specific demographic in like how you're gonna like. It's uncool, and basically, it's uncool to vote for Donald Trump. That's like what they're saying. Women would not like you voting for Donald Trump. We're together. We're sisters. Let's vote for Kamala. It's like maybe they recognize there's a problem there. Vote Common Good, I think, is what the thing is called, the 501c4. Yep. It's based in Edina, Minnesota. I know nothing about them, but a bunch of lefties. And let's pull up their website. I think it's votecommongod.com.
Tucker says Crowder made an observation that this ad is designed to cause dysfunction in arguments and marriages. And Billy22 says, why are you surprised that the
Crowder's probably got enough of those in his marriage, right?
I know. He's strained by godly morals.
Yeah, take his
Tucker
word
says
for it.
it
He's
was
an
a
expert.
joke, but there's some truth to it. But yeah, I'm like, if any woman is married to a major pro-Trumper guy, she's probably not going to want to stay married to him if she's that liberal.
Well, I think it just shows how serious the Democrats are about keeping the family together.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Ads like this.
Wow. Dawson's growing.
Thank you.
Go to tour on the top. So this is it's based in Edina, Minnesota. All in for Harris, 501c3. It's like a faith, hope, love. But look at this. You got Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, essentially. And I guess one in D.C. Earlier, I thought they had Wisconsin. Maybe that already took place and they're done with that. But yeah, they're in the swing states here. So an organization going and focusing their effort on the swing states with messages like that, targeting that key demographic. Then you got, just two ladies going to have a beer. Go to the A5 here, Dawson. Jesse put this in. Just two regular ladies going to have a beer. Sisters, right? Go ahead, play this.
Yeah. Oh, we have microphones and listening to everything. Oh, I didn't realize that.
Okay, can you pause it there? No.
Here, she says one more thing here.
Oh, she says one more. Go ahead.
Delete my F words. We just told all the family secrets.
Yeah.
Okay, now go back. Just do a screenshot of this when they're looking at each other. Not there. Keep going a little bit more. Left. Kind of. There you go. Like right there. Okay, that's a great still shot. Now give me your commentary, and then I want to say what I see in this picture. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, she's saying to Gretchen Whitmer, as if Gretchen Whitmer is any kind of expert on appealing to male voters. We really need to move ground among men, which shows if she's having this conversation in private, that's where the real concern is. It shows where she really sees things, because when she's asked this question by reporters, she pretends like it's non-existent. She says, that's not what I'm seeing on the ground. On the ground at my rallies, I'm seeing all kinds of men that are excited for it. But in reality, this is what she's thinking. And, what she really says is, I think it covered it up where she says shit, but she said
Yeah.
Wait,
shit.
did she say that?
Yeah, she says shit. We just told the family secrets, and they want to go after Trump for being unpresidential all the time when she's acting like a cackling buffoon. And another thing is. She's drinking all the time. It's like I see her. It's like a beer here, a beer there, a beer here, and even on Shannon Sharp, she was offered a drink on that one. People were getting mad at her in the comments because she cheers and toasted it, and then said after Shannon Sharp drinks it, she goes, "I'm not going to drink." And then people are like, well, why would you toast? Why would you toast to something and then not drink it?
T-Wall for Life says, notice the full beer glass is staged. That's what I was wondering. How do they actually get in here? And not realize reporters are right there.
Right. And the fact that she all of a sudden realizes there's a boom mic above her. Yeah, she just realizes
right away.
Right. It's like she thinks that she can have this little conversation while there's all this surrounding her.
Doesn't that mean it's more likely that it was staged and she wasn't spilling family secrets?
No, she wouldn't stage a thing to say where she needs to move ground among men, saying that she's doing awful among men. No, that's definitely a hot mic.
Yeah, that seems like a weird one to openly admit, right?
That she wants to have more young men voting for
that
her?
she's doing bad in that category.
I suppose so. Isn't it in the polls? Can't we just see it?
That's a conspiracy.
Well, that's assuming
theory
most people know that.
So wait, Dawson, you think that she knew they were there and just pretended to not know?
Wait, no, I'm sure she saw everybody. My question was, can't anybody just look at the crosstabs of polls and see how they're doing where?
Well, can't you hear yourself when you're saying that? Can't anyone look at the crosstabs? Like, who does that?
The presidential candidate, I would hope.
No, but I mean, like no one, like none of your average guys doing that. So to admit that is like crazy. I'm trying to find the Cenk Uygur tweet. I don't know why I can't locate this. Didn't I share this with the group?
He probably just tweets too much.
He does tweet too much. A lot
of those people. That's why Twitter honestly sucks. It's anybody, especially Elon Musk, he's making 1,000 posts a day. You can't find anything.
That's why Truth Social is awesome, because 5 people post.
Well, Truth Social, it's better to navigate honestly sometimes than Twitter, and it's got groups. The Minnesota Patriots for Trump. It's a great group on Truth Social that I run. Much better than anything I'm seeing on Twitter. I don't know. Twitter's not for me. I think it's just, I was going to say generational, but it's probably for my generation, but
Twitter's
it's not for me.
Twitter's definitely a cesspit, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I found it. I wanted to make sure we cover this. I'm going to just dump it over in the A6 because I didn't put something for Joe Rogan. So this is according to Cenk Uygur. So, ultra progressive social media influencer. Cenk says, scroll up to the top there, the link tweet that it's linked to. It says, I've never seen so many contradictory numbers in a race, right? Like the polling really doesn't say anything at this point other than there's a trend going Trump. So we all have to Luke Skywalker this thing and rely on our intuition. That comes from our experiences in covering politics and knowing how to weigh trends and numbers. Boy, I couldn't agree more with this guy right now, right? It's crazy. My intuition is screaming that Trump is going to win. I can't imagine how hard this is for him to admit that. Like, there's no way he wants to admit that.
Well, I think he just doesn't want to be embarrassed like he was in 2016. There's that video
Big
compilation
meltdown.
of them reacting, him and TYT, the Young Turks, reacting to Trump win. And, I think he just sees it coming and he doesn't want to have that night again.
That's right. Okay, so then he says, I had the same feeling of doom last Sunday that I had the weekend before the 2016 election. I think Trump's populism, right? And by the way, populism that spans into the demographic that apparently Kamala admits she's losing that certainly in that demographic, but even the demographic that the other ones are saying, like the, suburban women. I think Trump's populism is going to beat Kamala's strategy of only using talking points. Her shift to corporate CEOs and Cheney support was disastrous, though no one in MSM realizes it. That's the funny thing. The mainstream media just goes with it.
Right.
And they went with this whole Nazi rally thing, which is absolutely insane. So
anyone that loves Liz Cheney was already voting for Kamala. So the more that they push Liz Cheney out there, the more it brings people back to Trump. So I love the Democrat strategy. Honestly, I'm actually very happy that things have worked out how they have. Because Joe Biden would be a tougher opponent, and he has dementia, and but Kamala, Cenk Uygur brings up the point there that it's all talking points, everything's scripted. There's nothing original. There's nothing unique. There's nothing intrinsic to her, so people just look at her as a total puppet. And it's almost better, it's almost better that this is the competition for Trump, because she couldn't win a primary. They had to rig everything. And I think the American people just realize that she cannot be rewarded for this. If the Democrats are rewarded for this, then everything is thrown out the window. All of our country is gone. We don't even need to have elections anymore, because the Democrats can just install whoever they want. I think the American people are so fed up that, Kamala Harris is the reason that we're getting Trump.
Scuba, please refer to him as true name Chunk Yogurt. That's funny.
I'm super curious.
Yeah.
Tucker, how did you get banned from Truth
Yeah,
Social?
Tucker says he got
Because
Yeah, I know.
Tucker's a federal agent.
Well,
obviously,
yeah, I mean,
guys,
Tucker
you know
would
that,
post
right?
on there. I don't know why they would consider him a scam or anything, because, yeah, I mean,
No,
there's-
Tucker is like literally, he's an FBI agent. Like literally, when he told me we should go storm the Capitol, I was like, come on, Tucker, really?
Does that mean Tucker and I are coworkers?
he probably wanted to peacefully and patriotically do it.
Nope, he didn't use those terms. So last thing I'll say on this prediction, okay, which, my confidence level on this prediction is not that high, I guess I should say, because it's tough with the polls, but that's my instincts. I think new media is making a big play on it. So do me a favor. Let's do it. We didn't rehearse this. Pull up a fresh YouTube right now.
We don't rehearse anything.
We do. Shut up. We do too. There's show prep. Pull up just a fresh YouTube there, Dawson, and go ahead and type in Trump Rogan.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Oh, yeah. Is the Pope Catholic?
Still making my way through it.
All right. Let's go ahead. Well, it's not there. Go down to where
My
it's
favorite
actually
part is
showing
where they
Joe
were
Rogan.
talking about the whales.
Yeah,
The whales and the wind, and because even I saw environmentalists still getting mad at it after the fact. It's
Funny.
like, well, it sounds like they're bringing up an interesting point that if the wind is screwing up these whales and they're going onto the beaches, shouldn't the environmentalist greeniacs care about that?
Dawson, just click on the Joe Rogan episode one.
Billy22 says, Jesse's right. If they install Harris, there is no longer any need for elections.
Yeah. Well, why aren't you clicking on the Joe Rogan episode one? Oh, yeah, maybe because it's not found.
Was it taken down due to medical misinformation?
It's not. Look at YouTube
look
is
up
literally
Joe Rogan
suppressing it.
Experience.
Now you gotta just go Joe Rogan Experience, and then you can find it. Literally, this is insane. What's the video got? It's last I checked last night. I think it was like 35 million. What's it at?
I want to avoid clicking on anything that.
Isn't that insane though? You cannot just Trump Rogan
that
and it doesn't
38?
come up.
Yep, 38 million.
38 million views on YouTube alone. I watched on Spotify the first time. So this thing's probably got 50 million views.
Not quite most popular, but third most.
Yeah, it's going to.
Oh yeah, it's trending the most popular. Yeah, for sure. That's a tough one. And by the way, you got to add all the numbers together too. So this is off one platform. This has been noticed by Elon Musk. He's even promoting on the Twitter platform now. But yeah, they literally are censoring in the main search menu. And this has been known. I think we were really early on exposing this yesterday. But like everyone, even Elon Musk is like, you're not finding it on YouTube. Here's the link on Twitter. And it's like, well, that's ridiculous. Yeah, what happens if you type their whole names out? Oh, so it comes up when you put their whole names in.
Maybe could it be because like I don't know enough about the algorithm to make a guess on this one. I don't know.
Well, they could fix the algorithm because that seems like a pretty easy one. I mean, that's what I did. That's how I found out. Rogan, Trump. You'd think that would come up, especially when it's 35. Come on, how many hot videos do they have? None of those videos have close to the watches, right? So anyhow, new media is making a huge play. And so just so you guys understand, Joe Rogan tweeted out, I think it was last night, that he's in talks with the Kamala campaign. And Rogan's not like a political type person, right? So he doesn't understand that they're really, not going to do his podcast. Like they're literally
I think
telling him.
he probably gets that already.
Maybe, yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
point. He's a smart guy. But he says that they had a list of demands, and one is that he's got to go see them because they're so busy. And then number 2 is only an hour, which everyone knows. Like if she did Joe Rogan, she's not going to do more than an hour. Brett Baird talked about how the reason he was so hard in his interview is he knows that Kamala's strategy is just to keep talking and not have to answer these questions. And so he's like, I'm not going to let her get away with it. I have like a very short amount of time because she didn't want to do this live. So we have to get the video and then go make it available. So they had like a hard cutoff. He had to get done. And he's like, she's just going to filibuster. And so I had to press her. And it's like, yeah, actually, that's a good point. Because she wasn't answering the questions. So she wants to do an hour on
Rogan.
Rogan.
Not good on that either. She looked horrible. Yeah, I mean, unlikable as hell.
Right. So here's the thing about Joe. Have you seen any bit of it, Bridget?
I'm like halfway through.
You know, you're not a good person to ask because you are a Trump supporter. What I look back at is those women, those suburban women, if they watch it or influenced it, and Joe Rogan's not really huge into that demographic area, but he's great into the key demo for advertising. It's just more male, right? But even men who might be skeptical of Donald Trump, if you watch that interview, Trump comes across as very likable as an individual. It was a great platform, Trump. I'm not shocked by this. Trump grew up like he probably did Howard Stern a couple dozen times, which is a similar format. So it's not like Trump doesn't do this format, you know. Howard's like the first one that did it actually on radio. Joe's obviously not being stopped by commercial breaks.
Okay, Wall for Life says 45 minutes in and still on predictions. Come on, man. I need to hear the election fraud segment before 2 p.m.
Talk about filibustering.
Well, no, I said that Trump's going to win. That was the prediction. What else am I missing?
Okay, Wall for Life is saying we need to hear about the election fraud segment.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay, fair point. Well, I just letting the conversation go the natural way. Let's get on to Tony Hinchcliffe. Great point, K-Wall. Love it. Let's get to the Tony Hinchcliffe joke. All right. You know, the media has been just... They're doing everything they can, including the Pioneer Press. Just go to my Twitter feed. You'll see this a million times. The Pioneer Press is just literally, it's like they're getting paid by the Democrat Party to try to help them across the finish line. They did this very infamously in 2018 with Doug Wardlow. They did this hit piece. Doug Wardlow was apparently bullying a gay kid in high school, this hit piece, and there was like no time for the Doug Wardlow campaign to even respond. So the Pioneer Press is just like a liberal rag, right? The media went with this whole narrative. This is the most ridiculous thing ever, okay? It was that the Nazis did a rally, was it 1931 or 1939, whenever they were saying that the Nazis did a rally at Madison Square Garden, and Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden is reminiscent of it. Now, this is Tim Walz, lying Tim Walz, in his own words on this rally. Listen to this.
Donald Trump has descended into madness over the last few weeks. And I think some of you don't miss on this. Go do your Google on this. Donald Trump's got this big rally going at Madison Square Garden. There's a direct parallel to a big rally that happened in the mid-1930s at Madison Square Garden. And don't think that he doesn't know for 1 second exactly what they're doing there.
Okay. Now,
So,
it's
look,
one thing for lying Tim Walz to say this. The mainstream media did this. You guys have seen it, right? I'm assuming most of you in the audience have seen this. Like, the media just kept running with, oh, this has parallels to the Nazi rally. Like, that's such a ridiculous... Like, literally, the memes on the right are great about this. It's like, here's a picture of Adolf Hitler sitting down at a table to eat food. Trump has done that too.
Yeah.
It's like, are you... Like, how many events have happened at Madison Square Garden, including in 1992, Bill Clinton speaking in front of Madison Square Garden? Like, that is ridiculous. So they just go with this narrative. Now, this narrative, to me, I think most people are just, like, refuting it. Like, really? Nazi? You're doing the Nazi thing again about Trump? However, there was a ridiculous error that I think the Trump campaign made. Now, I want to caveat this.
I was trying to understand this, and I think I maybe came up with the reason why they're doing this whole Nazi thing. I'm thinking that I'm thinking the Democrats are probably thinking we need to win this election. We need to make sure that our people turn out. What's the story that gets their people to turn out? Trump's a Nazi. You know, so even though it's just a recycled old story where it's old news, you know, it's not like the Democrats are asking for that much from their politicians anyway. As long as they say that Trump's a Nazi, okay, I guess that's enough for me to get out and vote. So I think that's the reasoning for why they're pushing this, but it's ridiculous that they want to say the jokes, that they want to say that, you know, simply by appearing in Madison Square Garden, even though it's a massive, you know, world-class, American iconic location, that any kind of association with it is now affiliated with the Nazis. It's ridiculous. And I mean, that Madison Square Garden rally was so much fun. I mean, Hulk Hogan coming out, I don't see no stinking Nazis, you know. The whole thing was awesome. Dr. Phil, I freaked out when Dr. Phil came out. I was texting Tucker. I was like, I didn't realize Dr. Phil endorsed Trump already, you know, but apparently he did 4 or 5 days ago with RFK Jr. But it's just awesome. You know, it's like they were bringing out all these people, and And what does the media focus on? A couple of jokes. It shows how out of touch they are.
Well, and okay, that's a really good point. I didn't think of that. You're right, because Trump right now is running ads on the transgender issue. In the swing states, he's running on like Kamala wanted to allow sex change for like, and they actually focus on one prisoner in particular, but prisoners in general as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems to be something that motivates the base to get out there for Trump, but it also doesn't hurt you with independents. This is the problem so you might be right on it. It motivates the base, but it does kind of hurt them with independents. I think it's like, really, you're saying that? It looks kind of bad when you keep saying that. Especially when you're saying
it's a basket of deplorables kind of thing.
Right. And then you're also going around saying, oh, division, we need someone who unites the nation. It's like, so all the people that were at Madison Square Garden, the MAGA people, are Nazis? That's what you're saying? You're the uniter? It's ridiculous. But anyhow, with that being said, okay, I'm going to just...
Sorry.
I'm just going to say this, my caveat. I am a huge Tony Hinchcliffe fan. I watch Kill Tony every Monday night. I admire that show. I didn't watch it 10 years ago when it started. I watched it, I think I started watching 2 or 3 years ago, which is still new, but it's way before all the big growth. By the way, Adam Ray's Dr. Phil impression, just hilarious. We've played Kill Tony on here, like when Shane Gillis does the Trump impression and Adam Ray does the Biden. Okay, and then he had one of my favorite comics, funny man, and that's underrated. Harlan Williams was on the show last night. So I love Tony Hinchcliffe, and he is a great comedian. He is a very good roaster. He's one of the best roasters, maybe the best roaster out there. Why the hell they book Kill Tony for this rally? Like, what are they thinking? Like, seriously.
Well,
so Kill Tony,
because Tony Hinchcliffe sells out Madison Square Garden. They hold Kill Tony at Madison Square Garden all the time. He's a popular comedian.
One time. They've only done it once. By the way.
He's
2
never,
nights, but once.
He didn't make any kind of endorsement in 2016 or 2020. He's not a political person. I never thought that he was going to get involved.
I didn't
with
either.
him being involved, all it does is expand the Trump base. So I think it was a great idea to have him there.
Okay, but
So they wouldn't fill up Madison Square Garden with
no, see, I don't think so. But
No,
you're right.
I'm saying
His
it just
online
expands-
audience, you're right.
Yeah,
That's a good
it
point.
expands. He's got a comedy audience. Comedy audiences aren't necessarily conservative, even though more conservatives maybe have a bigger sense of humor and are willing to laugh at things. But it just expands it into people that are kind of non-political.
Okay, well, all right, let's just play the joke. It's a damn funny joke. I think it was funny. I was laughing. The audience didn't react that great to it, and he kind of goats them on. This is the one that gets all the attention. So Madison Square Garden, the lead up to it, this is a big Nazi rally. Most people I think is ridiculous, but this is the storyline coming out of it. It just seems like an unnecessary error. Go ahead, play it.
There's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay, all right. Okay, we're getting there. It's absolutely...
Okay, so obviously the audience didn't think that was the greatest joke. He's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, which is good, I guess, for the MAGA people.
I've heard the premise before. It's not like he's the first person ever to say a floating pile of garbage and then point out some country or point out some island. It's not like it's the most original thing ever, but it's so that's why it's like it's funny that like that's what got them. That's what the media is freaking out about. Canceling comedian, right before an election. That's what's really going to win you the election, rather than focusing on issues, focusing on policies, focusing on how you want to make our country great again. No, they want to focus on Tony Hinchcliffe, a guy that's not political really. A guy that's just a comedian because he made a joke about Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's not even a state. So are we not allowed to joke about Puerto Rico? He made all kinds of jokes, and I think.
Well, Kamala just had a tweet out about it.
Some people are saying he shouldn't have made the offensive jokes, even from our side.
But that's Tony Hinchcliffe.
And my point, exactly, I think sometimes when jokes fall flat, and sometimes when it's not the mood to give a joke like that, that's the time to give a joke like that, because then it's even funnier. Because at least from the perspective of someone like us, when we're watching from home and seeing the crowd go, oh, it's even funnier when the crowd reacts that way.
I could agree, but this just didn't have the makings of a joke.
No, stop.
Yep, because what was the lead up to it? It was, there's a lot of things going on. There's a floating island of trash. It's Puerto Rico.
Well, there was more before that. Yeah.
I don't want to hear your breakdown of jokes.
Right,
you do not understand comedy. That is literally a joke.
You thought that
it has the misdirection. It's great.
What are you talking about?
Don't analyze that joke. It's a joke, okay?
It's a bad joke.
Well, no.
Kamala responds.
There's obviously a garbage island. Everybody knows about garbage island. It's an actual garbage island.
Well, there's got to be a little
floating around
truth
the
into
world.
it.
So, yeah, exactly like you're saying, he diverts, he gets people thinking about that, but it's actually Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
That's the joke.
That's the joke. You could say it's not the greatest
Yeah,
joke.
you can say it's
but
not
you can't say
funny
it's
to
not a
you.
joke. It's clearly a joke.
It's a bad joke. Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Kamala tweets out, I have long been committed to Puerto Rico and the Puerto Rican people. Together, let's build a better future for both. And then it says on the little image, Kamala Harris will build an opportunity economy for Puerto Rico. Why aren't you doing it here then? You're only the vice president. Why don't you build an opportunity economy for the United States? This is how insane the world is. Okay, still, Tony Hinchcliffe, you know what you're getting. And I love it. Don't ever change, Tony. This isn't Tony's fault. Why on earth would the campaign just put Tony in there and create this unnecessary error? Now, with that being said, it happened. We can't change it.
It
okay?
helps.
And
I'll tell you why.
Maybe it does help.
The controversy helps.
Maybe it does.
I can't
I can
believe
see that
the
angle.
media is falling right into our plans. It's like, really? You're going to go after the comedian? I can't believe it. It's only going to help
No. They're
Trump.
tying it to Trump, right?
It doesn't matter. It only helps Trump.
Maybe.
It
Okay.
only helps
To me,
Trump.
it seems like unnecessary.
I'm going to vote for Trump, but I'm not going to now because Tony Hinchcliffe said a joke. I mean, come on.
Oh,
There's
Tucker's
not a person like
Tucker
that.
talked about Don Rickles' black kid joke from
Right.
Ronald Reagan. That was a great one. Rickles was awesome. Okay, but you don't even need to go back to the Ronald Reagan campaign. You can go to the Harris campaign. Here, this is George Lopez telling what I consider another good joke at a Kamala Harris rally. Go ahead and play it.
Donald Trump said he was going to build a wall, and George Lopez said, you better build it in one day, because if you leave that material out there overnight...
What, are all Mexicans thieves? What are you saying, George Lopez?
Yo.
No, it's a joke. Yes, and sometimes the offensive jokes are great. Now, I got that crude sense of humor, and a lot of people do, and that's why Tony Hinchcliffe's got the #1 comedy podcast in the world. But I don't know. You could be right. It could be that it's the wokeness mind virus that people are pushing back against, and they go, oh, canceling comedy.
Right.
I don't know. It just seems like an unforced error that just didn't need to happen. But, leave it to Jon Stewart, a very good joke teller, the best joke teller when it comes to fake news, by the way. Maybe after Norm Macdonald from the old Saturday Night Live Weekend Update. But Jon Stewart, great at fake news. This is no, not fake news, funny news, comedy news. I can't say fake news now, right? That's what it is, fake news, but from a comedy, whatever I'm trying to say. The Daily Show host, okay? This is Jon Stewart's reaction. This is on my Twitter account.
Parody
Check it
news.
out. This is so good.
Is that
right
what you're
here.
saying? Parody.
By the way, he likes Tony Hinchcliffe, which obviously he understands how humorous Tony Hinchcliffe is. So this is what he's responded to.
There's something wrong with me. I find that guy very funny. So, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, bringing him to a rally and have him not do roast jokes, that'd be like bringing Beyonce to a rally and not have... Oh.
Yep.
Oh, see, now that's funny, and because people watch this episode a year down the road and forget the old context here, Beyonce literally did a rally, and media was hyping it up. She was going to perform at a Kamala Harris rally in Houston, Texas last week, and she ends up speaking for just a couple of minutes, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And so people were videotaped leaving because they were a little upset that, hey, it was kind of like a bait and switch. We want to hear Beyonce sing, and she doesn't do anything. Once again...
And you got to wonder why Beyonce did that.
Maybe you're right, but at least
this only helps. I love it. I love it. Go ahead, try to cancel Tony Hinchcliffe. We're gonna win even bigger.
They're not trying to cancel Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yes, they are.
In the end.
Are you kidding me?
In the end of the yeah.
Of course, the media is trying to cancel him.
Yeah, but let's be honest. They really want to hurt Donald Trump. They don't want to hurt Tony Hinchcliffe. They want this tied
he's
to that Nazi rally, right? That's what they want to do.
Right, but they want to take him out as collateral along the way.
Nice try, but they've been trying to come after Tony Hinchcliffe. He lost the ability to perform at one of his comedies. I was gonna say the comedy
venues
stores,
or something.
Yeah, the comedy venues when he went to Texas. He lost it because he had an Asian joke. Now he's at the comedy mothership with Joe Rogan.
And Andrew Schultz just had the same thing where he had the Trump interview. Next thing you know, his where he's gonna film a special cancels on him. So
Of course.
right, they're trying to cancel it, but you can't cancel comedy.
Well, listen, Kamala's campaign's making errors. The Trump campaign's making errors, but at least
What error?
At least they're not the third party.
No, the tone. Yeah,
At
exactly.
least they're not the third party. Here's a scene from the third party debate in the national anthem of all things.
Can I go back? Can I go back, please? I got too nervous. Gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
Oh man, okay, that's good enough. By the way, most
Go-
third
hold
party
on.
don't even put their
Skip
hand
forward
up.
just a little bit.
Is there a little?
Skip forward just a little bit to the end of it. You can see Chase Oliver, the Libertarian's got his hand over his heart the whole time. But yeah, go ahead and do. Just a little bit before then.
Thank you, Loomis. That was beautiful. Appreciate you coming here tonight again. My name is
Okay,
Christina Tobin.
that's good. So then the host goes, "Thank you, Loomis. That was beautiful. Thanks for coming." It's like, I couldn't believe it as I was watching. I thought, somebody has to call it out. None of the candidates called it out. None of the moderators called it out. I would have said, "You did awful. That was the worst national anthem I've ever heard in my life." I would have said, I can't sing, but let me give it a go. I can do better than that. And it was just so ridiculous. And, I thought, just what. Looking at the three candidates up there, they got the Constitution Party candidate, they got the Libertarian, then they got the Green. I thought for sure, if anybody's going to have their hand over their heart during the national anthem, it'd probably be the Constitution Party candidate. The Libertarian, he probably doesn't respect the national anthem and whatnot, but this is a woke Libertarian, so of course it's a black woman singing the national anthem, so he's going to have his hand over his heart the entire time. But of course, Jill Stein is anti-American. Jill Stein, of course, isn't going to put her hand over her heart. She doesn't respect America. And the Constitution Party candidate, I think that he just realized this is a disaster. I don't want to affiliate myself with this national anthem. The whole thing was just a disaster. I tried to watch the entire debate, and I really wanted to watch it. I was looking forward to it. I can't even get through it, and I'm wanting to watch it. And there's all these music performances intermixed in the middle of it. I mean, literally, they'll ask a question, "What's your opinion on Social Security?" And then they'll go through the answers, and then they'll go, "We're now going to have a musical interruption." And then they'll have a new music performance, and then it just went on and on and on. So, this is the state of the third parties. They're amateur. They're, not the real deal, and they couldn't have discredited themselves more. And it's actually unfortunate. Christina Tubin, the one that hosts the Free and Equal Election Foundation, the one that put on this debate. I'm actually friends with her. I talk with her every once in a while, but it's like, yeah, but I just was like, oh man, how could you screw it up this bad? I tried to give her some ideas and whatnot, but I didn't see any of them implemented there.
Oh, man.
I gotta point out really quick that Jon Stewart clip was not him referencing the Puerto Rican joke. That was him referencing a different stand-up act.
I'm very well aware he was referencing the roast of Tom Brady on Netflix, which was even more crude than that joke. So, what are you thinking? We're pulling a fast one on people?
Well, it was a fast one, but
no.
doesn't matter.
No, what he was doing was he was saying that he likes Tony Hinchcliffe. I keep saying kill Tony.
Not in reference to the Puerto Rico joke, though.
No,
but in reference to the whole thing.
Nothing that doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, Jon Stewart saw the Puerto Rico joke. If you watch the whole performance,
he thinks Tony Hinchcliffe is funny because Tony Hinchcliffe is funny, right? To people that actually have humor. All right, so let's go.
He calls them
People are asking
vile
Jesse to sing.
so-called jokes.
Yeah,
I'm McSalty singing right now.
yeah, I'm not singing the national anthem.
Post show, we will sing.
We'll get Tushy.
Oh, say, can you see? Can you do it? In the post show.
I'll fuck it up.
Yeah, apparently that's an out. By the way, there's an infamous old when God, my brain's not working today. I was gonna say Rosie O'Donnell, but it's not Rosie O'Donnell.
No.
Yes, what's her name?
Someone
The
said
comedian. Not
Roseanne Barr.
Roseanne Barr.
Yeah, we got the Rose part right. Yeah, Roseanne
Only
Barr.
Rosie O'Donnell.
And honestly, she went out there. It wasn't like she was trying to be disrespectful to the country. She basically just went out there and was like, "Okay, you guys want me to sing the national anthem?"
Dude, seriously, why would you ask a comedian to sing?
Right, she sang it in an awful way, but she was doing it for comedic effect. It wasn't like, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, Roseanne is a crazy person. Why would you have her sing the national? That's another case in point, like what I was saying. All right. Let's go to election fraud exposed. 3 cases of election tampering. First one is right here in Minnesota. Let's pull this up. This is on CBS News. Minnesota woman forged her dead mom's signature on absentee ballots, charges say. A 50-year-old Minnesota woman is facing voter fraud charges after signing her dead mom's signature on 2 absentee ballots. On October 9th, the Itasca County auditor contacted the Itasca County Sheriff's Office about possible voter fraud involving 2 absentee ballots, charges say. The ballot envelopes weren't open but flagged for fraud based on the signature envelopes. The ballots, which were received on October 7th by auditor's office, were for a woman and her mother. The criminal complaint, citing the Minnesota Vital Statistics death report of Itasca County, said the mother died on August 31st. Each signature envelope includes 2 sections. One needs to be filled out by the voter and the other by the witness. The sheriff's office compared the signature envelopes and noticed they were filled out similarly. Authorities then compared the signatures to the signature on the woman's driver's license, and according to the complaint, they appeared to match each other. On October 11th, the sheriff's office spoke to the woman who said she filled out her mother's absentee ballot and signed her mom's name on the signature envelope, the complaint says. The woman said her mother was an avid Donald Trump supporter and had wanted to vote for him, but had passed away before the absentee ballots were received. The woman, according to the complaint, also said she filled out her absentee ballot and signed her mother's signature as the witness. She faces 2 counts of intentionally signing false certificates and 1 count of casting an illegal vote or adding another.
Mm-hmm. And this is going to be interesting. It was a Republican auditor who was the one who uncovered this, and it's going to go to the sheriff, who is somewhat right-leaning, and also it was in Itasca County, which people may remember that we pushed out the Keith Ellison nominee who was going to become the county attorney. So it's going to be interesting to see how this new county attorney, Jacob Fauchald, decides to handle a case like this, because it probably ends up in his discretion from here. So it's going to be very interesting. It sounds like this lady filled out her mom's ballot, and then she also filled out her mom's signature on her own ballot as if her mom witnessed it. You can't do that kind of stuff, but the Democrats are going to use this and say, see, look, it's the Republicans that commit the fraud. But really, it was the Republican auditor who uncovered the fraud. So it's the Republicans who are stopping the fraud in this case as well.
And I just got to say this, okay? Now, she did wrong, okay? You can't do this. Let's be honest. You can't do what she did. But it seems like it comes from a place in the heart. I assume, just from what I'm reading. I don't know the circumstances here. But, and she needs to be penalized. Does it help society throwing her in prison? Probably not, okay? Because what's it really going to change in the election? Probably nothing. But maybe it does, okay? So that's why it can't go unpunished. You did wrong. You didn't follow law. Maybe if she knew she couldn't do that, then 100% got to throw the book at her. Maybe she just didn't know, and she just lost her mom, and she's like, my mom would have done this, okay? Regardless, it's wrong, all right? But it's one vote. It's one vote. We're not going around talking about those one vote things by some lady who's mourning the death of her mom. What we're talking about is large-scale fraud. Let's go to this story. In Pennsylvania, a swing state. This is by NPR, and let's just expose the media while we're at it. This is the headline from NPR News. Pennsylvania County halts hundreds of potentially fraudulent voter registration forms. Keyword is hundreds. Now, hundreds is bad, okay? But they only say hundreds.
Right.
Let's read this story. Officials in Lancaster County in the swing state of Pennsylvania say they identified hundreds again, of potentially fraudulent voter registration applications. Suspected fraudulent voter registration forms were dropped off at the Board of Elections office in 2 batches at or near the deadline for submission. The board said in a statement on Friday, there are approximately 2,500 voter registration applications total in these 2 batches. Now, let me ask you a question. This is the story comes from the elections office, right? And that's only really credible source they have for this, right? It's not like anyone else would know this story. So they're the ones reporting, and this is their statement. Quote, there are approximately 2,500 voter registration applications total in these 2 batches, end quote. So why does the headline say 100?
Right.
Why does it say that? Because the next line says it's unclear how many of the applications in the 2 batches are alleged to be fraudulent. So why did you go with 100? Why did you just say dozens then? Why aren't you saying thousands, which it could be 2,500?
Right.
Listen to how dishonest the media is here. They make up the term 100. Where did they get that from?
Right, they downplay it.
They downplay it on purpose because guess what? If this was Lancaster County and it's 2,500, how many counties does Pennsylvania have? Like 100 probably?
Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
250,000 votes. Guess what the margin of victory for Biden was in 2020? It was like 80,000 votes. This is changing the outcome of the elections in Pennsylvania. In its statement, the board stressed that county elections are secure and that flagging the potential fraud indicates the system worked. Well, good. The point is, this is not one woman who wanted to give her mom her dying wishes of voting Trump, and probably not Trump. But I'm just going to go on a limb and say those weren't Trump votes, okay? Could be, but I'm guessing not, right? This is voter fraud. They're trying to inject these ballots that don't exist. Republican-leaning Lancaster County has more than 360,000 registered voters. The statement said concerns were raised during the staff's normal process to review and enter applications into a state database, and law enforcement was alerted. In a news conference Friday with board members, Lancaster County District Attorney Heather Adams said numerous applications appeared to have the same handwriting and other details, like addresses, appeared incorrect on some applications. By the way, similar to what happened here in Minnesota. Once again, way different. One versus hundreds or thousands, right? Adams said the investigation is ongoing and wouldn't comment on who may have dropped off the potentially fraudulent forms. NPR has previously reported that paid canvassing operations have on occasion included fraudulent signatures that were caught. Well, I thought fraud doesn't exist. I thought fraud didn't exist. Okay. Friday's announcement, by the way, Joe Rogan's really good on this. I think he said it during the interview with Trump. It's like no one that's any bit credible says that fraud is zero, right? So no one says it's zero. Is it enough to turn the election is the question. But it's not zero, right? Friday's announcement followed that what officials in Pennsylvania, Bucks County, said Thursday was a fake video circulating on social media of county election workers destroying ballots. And across the country in Colorado's Mesa County, there was news Thursday of another isolated incident, an investigation into alleged voter fraud concerning about a dozen ballots. Last story here in this segment. This is BBC. I just found it to be the best synopsis of it. Ballot drop boxes set on fire in Oregon and Washington. Do you like the fact that I'm in Minnesota and know how to pronounce your home state there, Dawson?
Honestly, it's really refreshing.
Isn't it?
Thank you.
Because it's not wagon, it's wagon.
Oh, I never.
That's how you remember, right? Yeah. The FBI is investigating after 2 ballot drop boxes went up in flames in Portland, Oregon, early on Monday. By the way, Portland, Oregon, we all know is a hotbed for conservative politics. Hundreds of ballots. By the way, it doesn't mean that it's not conservative. We don't know. Right? We just don't know. More than likely, it probably is, right?
And it's raining in the clip.
Yeah, my place is raining.
There you go. Well, actually, the video does all the justice. Basically, hitting with like incendiary device on or inside of a drop box, which is catching fire to these ballots. And I don't know what happens. I guess
I think drop boxes are just crazy. In themselves.
Well, it really is, and that's the story of this election. Is
it's just
right.
so
You don't want these things out there. The system that we should have. If you have a mail-in ballot or something and you want to return in person, you should have to give it to your county auditor office. You shouldn't be giving in some drop box because look what happens. And there's going to be all these voters that are screwed out of the opportunity to vote because they didn't know that their ballot was one of the ones that was burned. And all kinds of other things. And, Washington, Oregon, they both got systems where it's almost entirely mail-in voting. So people have very limited options. So they might even be thinking that actually a drop box might be safer than mailing it. So some people might be looking at like that it's actually a better option than putting in the mail and then hoping that your mailman is an honest person. So it's a tough one. I'm not sure, I hope they figure out who did it, the mode of all that. Because, we don't know right now.
They've got a suspect, but nothing solid yet, so nothing to worry about.
Let me throw out a conspiracy for you, okay? I just came up with this on the fly. Some left-wing organization firebombs all the Dropbox locations, and when they go scoop it up, that's where they push in the new ballots.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. That's what it is.
Could
be. And then they blame it on the conservatives. All right, let's go to Minnesota politics. Let's close out the show on this. This is interesting stuff. We have a new MinPost poll which shows the margin in Minnesota is 3 points. Now, Jesse and I know somebody We know two men, one being a man that used to be on the show, who made a bet in Minnesota. He was like $100. Is that it? Yeah.
Something like
$100.
that.
I don't know if William wants me to out him as the person that made the bet, so I won't say William's name on the show. Well, I won't say which position William made. It's for him to break the news. But he bet that Trump, the bet was at 4%. So one bet the over and one bet the under. That's the margin of victory for Kamala. Okay? I think a lot of us don't think Trump's actually going to win Minnesota. Man, it's starting to lean that direction. Actually, do you think he's going to win Minnesota, Jesse?
Probably not Minnesota.
Okay.
But, if there was no fraud, maybe. You never know.
Well, the poll, and this is the last poll I think we're going to see, shows it at basically 3%. And the poll's margin of error is 2.4%. It seems pretty darn close in Minnesota when you get into the specifics. And by the way, they don't name the other candidates. At least I don't believe they did. They just put in other categories, so it does show, which could make it an impact here, because when you look at the Minnesota ballot, there's like a lot of candidates on there, including RFK Jr. So Harris has basically lost a point from September 48.8% to 47.7% in this poll. Trump has basically gained momentum, half a percentage point, 50 basis points, 44.6 to 45.1%, which actually follows the trend of national polls, right? And then other went from 3.6 to 4.7%. Now, Jesse, I doubt RFK has gained 1.1% in that time frame. So is that telling you Jill Stein and Cornel West and maybe
mainly Jill
Chase
Stein?
Oliver?
Mainly Jill Stein.
So
Jill Stein is basically
momentum?
the only third party I see that's gaining any kind of momentum. It's all based on Palestine. It's all based on the Israel war. Jill Stein is focusing her campaign on that. And I think that, the more voters that are paying attention, the fact that the DNC put out an ad against her, the first time they ever put out an ad against a third-party candidate, Jill Stein is picking up ground, especially on the Palestine-Israel war issue. So that's where I would credit any kind of uptick on the third-party vote, because the Libertarians are going to see a downtick this year compared to what they got in 2020, because they failed to get ballot access in New York and Illinois. Same thing with the Greens. They missed a couple of ballots as well. But yeah, it's definitely going to be the Greens that are the only ones that have any kind of uptick. The Libertarians and the rest of the third parties are all going down this year big time.
Trump leads amongst independents, 36 to 27%, which is a pretty big category. When it comes to what part, let me see where this is. When it comes to Greater Minnesota, Trump is winning 64 to Harris 31%. When you get to the metro area, when you get to the two cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, you get Harris at 68.9%, Trump at 20.2%. And when you get to the metro area, that's a 3-point swing in Harris's direction, 48.5% to Trump, 45.1%. It's neck and neck in the suburbs. I think everyone knows Trump's not winning Ramsey or Hennepin. And
well, the last couple of elections, Trump ranges in Minnesota somewhere between 45 and 46%. So that's probably going to be around the same number we'll see again this year. And it's just going to be whether or not Kamala can also be taken below that 46 number, and if all those votes will be given to Jill Stein and these other third parties then.
Okay, so then I don't see results from MinPost on Royce versus Amy. I would love to see Royce White become a U.S. Senator. That would just be entertaining on its own. Not that the debate mattered.
And I'm like, how many people actually listen to those?
I mean, there's a reason to do
Royce
it Sunday
put it up
morning.
on his. He put it up on his
Yeah,
YouTube.
Royce.
Yeah, he probably generated more listens and views than any other platform. I mean, Royce didn't even do that good of a job. Like, to be honest with you, he fell for a trap, a really obvious trap by Amy Klobuchar. She got him to say and defend his comment on bad guys won World War II, which, like, when you dig into it, and we dug into it in this show, I mean, he's not wrong on the way that he phrased it. It just sounds like a bad comment, but he kind of did like a shock jock comment.
Yeah,
she got him on the defense on like 4 answers. Like, well, you walked right into that. She's the incumbent. Like all these problems. And by the way, the questions were really in his favor. Like, you should get her on the defense. She's the incumbent. So I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but so on the World War II thing, I think that, of course, that's what one of the major attacks the media has been using against him. So I get that he would want to clarify his position, especially if Amy Klobuchar is bringing it up. I'm going to have to listen to the full debate to, come up with an opinion on myself. But, I know that Royce is just so well-spoken. He is eloquent with his words, and he's very tough with, it's not soft language, it's hardcore. So I'm going to have to check it out myself, because I imagine that, I'm sure he landed a couple of very good shots on Amy as well.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I listened to that, me who I am, and I didn't know the dynamics. I'm clearly going to vote for Royce White, because it's like this Amy Klobuchar is saying just regurgitating all the damn talking points. I get it. And you could tell Royce is a little deeper of a thinker than her.
Mm-hmm.
And anti-incumbent, he's calling out the uniparty. But the debate is like, who can you get to swing? And I don't see him swing anyone. But once again, it doesn't matter. It's like, what, a couple thousand people listen to this stupid thing? Listen. Not even watch. Listen. Mm-hmm. It's on WCCO radio, 9 a.m. on a freaking Sunday morning. She didn't want to debate. She wanted to just check the box.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. I mean, how is Royce going to get the momentum? Man, it'd be fun to watch. I just don't see it. It's unfortunate. And if we could throw out Minnesota House, I see maybe the Minnesota House Republicans pick up one seat. I guess that'd be net 2, because the Democrats lose 1 and the Republicans gain 1.
Mm-hmm.
So the balance of power right now in Minnesota is 70 to 64. So it's 70 Democrats to 64 Republicans. I say it goes 69 to 65. I could see it going 68 to 64, or 68 to 66. But I don't think they take back the Minnesota House, unfortunately.
Right. When you dig into the key races, there's a couple of them that not too confident on.
And by the way, I think the Democrats pick up some Republican seats right now that are held by Republicans, and then like Liz Lagarde's district will flip Republican, right?
Yeah.
And Jeff Brand will probably lose.
But I'm looking at 3A, for example, Roger Scraba. There's him versus a Democrat. He won by 10 votes or something in 2022. And then there's also a forward party candidate. That third party vote is probably going to eat away more into the Republicans than the Democrats, even though it's associated with Andrew Yang. I think most people just won't have any idea. They just vote for third party if they like it. So we'll see on 3A. I think that Scraba might be done.
This is an interesting article on actionforliberty.com. Jesse, talk about this.
Yeah, so this is, let's go ahead and pull that up, Dawson. It is on line D4. New article that we got up there because the HRCC, the House Republican Campaign Conference, failed to recruit a candidate for a House district where a special election is going on, which will determine the fate of the Senate majority. The Senate majority, which is going to be, it's 33-33 right now. The Senate District 45 is holding a special election because Kelly Morrison decided to run for CD3. She's running against Tad Jude. So she decided to focus her campaign and all of her time and focus on that CD3 race. So she resigned, even though it's like, why isn't Nicole Mitchell resigning? Because Nicole Mitchell's the one that, broke into her widowed stepmother's house. But no, it's Kelly Morrison that resigned. So it's a very important race. Kathleen Fauke is the Republican nominee. She's up against gun grabber and former Senator Ann Johnson Stewart. So with the importance of this Senate district, it would be seemingly imperative that the HRCC recruits candidates for the House districts. However, there will be no candidate on the ballot for House District 45B to oppose radical leftist Patty Acomb. GOP voters will be left stranded at the ballot box in District 45B. This diminishes the credibility of the GOP, and it helps the Democrats' optics at the ballot box. So when voters start to fill out a ballot and they notice that there's nobody on there and that the GOP couldn't find anyone to run, it just shows why would it makes me wonder, why would the GOP hand the election over to Patty Acomb when she has supported every insane radical policy pushed by the Democrats? Nobody should be rewarded for bad behavior and a radical voting record. So even if it's just simply a person who is willing to put their name on the ballot, that's still better than having Patty Acomb be acceptable, because, there's all these Republicans in the district. For example, in 2022, the last election where, just after redistricting, the Republican nominee against Patty Acomb got nearly 40% of the vote. So that tells me that, there's a wide amount of people out there that are sick of her in that district, and they deserve someone to be able to vote for. And as of today, at 5 p.m., October 29th, all hope will be lost for any competition to be brought against Patty Acomb unless someone decides to file a write-in candidacy against her. And any patriot within District 45B that wants write-in votes to be counted for them, they can do so by filing with the Secretary of State. I've got that linked in the article. People can just fill out that form that I got linked in there, and they just got to turn it into the Secretary of State's office or their county auditor, and they can have those votes counted. It's a very important thing, and write-in votes are very important because they can be an important election integrity tool. When you have a write-in candidate whose name is on can be accepted as a write-in option, that forces people, forces these election workers to have to go back and hand count these ballots. That's very important. If they have to hand count it, it gets rid of a lot of the fraud. And also it allows you as a voter to make sure that your vote was counted. You can make sure that your ballot was actually counted within the system. When you look at your precinct results, which you can find on the Secretary of State's website, when you look at your precinct results, you would be able to see who how many people filled in a write-in option. Then you can see later, after they count the results and tally everything correctly, how many of those write-in votes were specifically for that eligible write-in candidate. So that's it's a very important tool that people can still utilize today until 5 p.m. I'm almost tempted to myself. There's nobody running against my mayor. I'm almost thinking, should I run a write-in candidacy for mayor? I'm thinking about it. I got until 5 p.m. I might just walk my happy ass down to the city hall and say I'm a write-in candidate for mayor. That way I can make sure that my ballot is counted on election day. Lots of people should be considering this. And you can do it for just about any office, statewide, congressional, even county offices. And county offices are even most important to do this. Let's go ahead and go back to the article, Dawson, because someone in our audience, Tina Simons, scroll down. Yep, perfect, right there. Patriot Tina Simons, who is a supporter of A. Farrell, and she watches the show. I'm not sure if she's watching right now, but she's from Kanabec County, and she is a constitutional conservative running as a write-in candidate for Kanabec County Commissioner, District 2. There will be no candidate on the ballot this year. It will be completely decided on who Kanabec County District 2 voters write in as their option. This means that all ballots will have to be hand counted. 2 other individuals have filed as write-in candidates for the office. People can read more about this because Eric Van Mechelen, a former Republican Secretary of State candidate, put up a great article on a Substack that is linked in this article. People should check it out. And individuals can file for county offices as well to be a write-in candidate by today at 5 p.m. I got the form linked in there for the county offices as well, because there's going to be dozens to hundreds of offices, just like the county commissioner one, just like the city races, all kinds of races where it's going to be unopposed, or it's going to have, sometimes even nobody listed on the ballot. That's the case for Tina. But, even for someone to go unopposed, I don't believe anybody should be unopposed. Even if it was Mother Teresa, somebody should be running against Mother Teresa. And, that's what elections are. It's based on competition. If anybody in the audience is inspired from what I'm saying here, you can fill out that form, go to the website, actionforliberty.com, click on the form, turn it into the Secretary of State's office in the next 2.5 hours. You can be a registered write-in candidate, make sure that your ballot is counted, and you could run against a rhino, you could run against anybody you want. There's all kinds of races out there, and especially in the county, if there's somebody that's not being challenged by anyone else, make sure your vote is counted, write yourself in, and register. It's completely free to do so. It doesn't cost anything to file this form, so it's completely free, good election integrity tool, and it could be kind of fun to run a 1-week campaign, so give it some thought.
I have an idea here. In 45B, we should look at the voter file and see if anyone in the district has last name Trump.
Yeah.
And convince them to run a write-in campaign. Mm-hmm. And imagine if you did one big lit piece to the whole district that said vote for Trump.
Yeah.
As a write-in candidate. People would be like, yeah, this person must be related to Donald Trump.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep, not a bad idea.
Can we say these other things for the post show? Does that work for you,
Yeah.
Jesse? Okay, perfect. Thanks to our great sponsors today, Warren Wessel of Keller Williams Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, give Warren a call. Thank you to John Galt Mortgage Company for buying a home. Give the good guys at johngaltmortgage.com a chance of doing business or giving them your financing. I can't talk. Why do I even try at the end of the show? Hour and a half in, fumble everything. I fumble like Caleb Williams on the 2-yard line against the...
Yeah.
I was going to say the Redskins, the Commanders. By the way, the Bears still come back. And I saw the comments, by the way, Tucker. They did come back. They got a touchdown, and then they blew it on a Hail Mary. Ugh, unbelievable. So tough as a Bears fan.
Yeah, DJ Moore is on my fantasy team, and he totally crapped the
DJ
bed
didn't
this
have a
week.
good game.
Yeah,
No,
not a good game this week.
Not at all. So give the good guys at John Galt Mortgage Company a chance of doing business in Alpine Country in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Thanks to the Rumble Rants. We'll be live in the post show where Jesse may or may not sing for you.
Yeah. Or run for mayor.
All right. Well, if you don't sing, Bridge has to sing. One of you has to sing it. So look at your guys' contracts. It requires you to sing once a month.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll get into some other things. I'll specify a little bit more what I'm seeing in the Minnesota House. I just kind of threw that out there and didn't give any context. Next episode's called "The Nightmare on Pennsylvania Avenue." What if I'm wrong, and Kamala Harris becomes president of the United States of America? Our special Halloween episode. Nightmare on Pennsylvania Avenue. I can't tell you how much Dawson was excited to create that graphic for you guys.
You guys are in for a treat.
Yes.
Or a trick.
Costumes allowed. Dawson and I are fanatics, scare fanatics, by the way. Just love Halloween. I'd put on a haunted house every year. So it's great stuff. And it'll be a very short, sweet, to the point episode because I got to get back home and get the rest of my haunted house set up. That's how important things are. So anyhow, we'll be back on Thursday with that. Everyone else, if you want to be a subscriber, it helps the show, helps us grow. You can go to truthhurtsnews.com, click on support, and right there you'll get a free locals account. Free locals account. $8 a month support. I guess it is a free locals account. But you support us $8 a month, and you get to be part of our post show. And for those of you that are already on Rumble, you can just click on join. Everyone else will see you there. And you can join after the fact, even if you're not watching live, but you can join after the fact. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on Thursday.